Good afternoon. We are going to go ahead and get started. Today is April 6th, and we are going to first have a voting session of the Ways and Means Committee, and then we will have to go off the live stream and get on another live stream for the brief hearings that we are going to have. So, first, House Bill 371, and there are amendments. Delegate Feldmark.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 371, as amended, authorizes the counties to enact an exemption from the recordation tax for an indemnity mortgage that secures a loan of up to $12.5 million and requires counties to report on exempt transactions under the bill. Move the amendments.
Any discussion on the amendments? Okay, all in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, raise your hand if you're opposed to the amendments. Delegate Buckle, Delegate Hornberger, Delegate Long, Delegate Miller. Haley, you following? Oh, you don't? Okay, well, for anybody who's listening, Delegate Hartman and Delegate Griffith. Okay, see, I'm still learning. Okay, thank you. All right, motion on the bill as amended. Any discussion on the bill as amended? Shall we do a roll call on the bill? Okay, all in favor of the bill as amended, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, House Bill 371 passes favorably as amended. Senate Bill 476, and there are amendments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The amendments to Senate Bill 476 make the bill identical to House Bill 371. Move the amendments.
Okay, anyone not in favor of the amendments, please raise your hand. Okay, basically the same people. Okay, all those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, the amendments passed. Motion on the bill is amended. Any discussion on the bill is amended? Okay, all those in favor of the favorable signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, Senate Bill 476 passes favorably as amended. Senate Bill 31. And that would be Delegate Ebersol.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill is identical to House cross-file, House Bill 153, and the two bills we passed and were vetoed last year. It changes how the student member of the Baltimore City Board of School of Commissioners is selected and expands the student member's voting rights. Additionally, it creates a task force to study the compensation of the board.
Yep, I apologize. It was not on the list because that was a mistake on our end. So
this is Delegate Wells' House Bill 153 that we've already passed.
And Senator Carter's cross-file.
Yeah.
Was that unanimous when we passed it? Yeah, that's what I mean. It was unanimous out of this committee. Okay, go ahead, Delegate Ebersol.
It doesn't matter. And consider the possibility of adding a second student member.
Okay.
Move the bill.
Any discussion on the bill? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Senate Bill 31 passes favorably. Senate Bill 610, and there are amendments. Delegate Ebersol.
This bill updates the state's laws and establishment running of virtual schools, creates virtual days in cases in which schools are closed due to severe weather condition, creates policies and procedures for virtual education schools to be followed when schools are closed for a prolonged period. The amendments clarify that when virtual days are in place of school days for inclement weather, collective bargaining units may negotiate about the time of instruction. Additionally, when synchronous instruction begins, those days that I'm losing my thread here a little. Those days where educational support personnel aren't assigned work, they must be offered an opportunity to make up that work and be made whole. It can be other sorts of work. The amendments also require that if multiple counties operate a virtual school through a written agreement, they must designate a lead county whose policies will prevail unless otherwise required by state law or written agreement. Finally, the amendments provide a method to appeal a decision by the State Department of Education to deny or revoke an approval of a virtual school. Move the amendments.
Okay, any discussion on the amendments? Okay. All in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed, motion on the bill is amended.
Move the bill as amended.
All in favor on the favorable signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, Senate, okay, raise your hand if you're opposed. So this, Delegate Buckle, Delegate Long, Delegate Hartman, and Delegate Griffith. Okay, despite that, the bill passes. Okay, Senate Bill 913, and there are amendments. Delegate Ebersol.
Yes, as introduced, this bill alters the definition of Tier 1 student for the purposes of publicly funded pre-kindergarten programs to include homeless students. It also includes the count of pre-kindergarten enrollment Tier 2 students whose family is between 300 and 600 the federal poverty level, who are from homes in which English is not the primary spoken language, or are children with disabilities. It also exempts school systems who entirely participate in the U.S. Department of Agriculture community eligibility provision for free and reduced meals to opt out of an alternative income certification process. There are amendments. The amendments restore the House version of expanded pre-kindergarten enrollment for select Tier 2 families. The amendments include changes to the career ladder established by the Blueprint for Maryland's Future to alter the duties of an assistant principal on the career ladder and sets a period when certain provisions of the career ladder go into effect. The amendment adds a school counselor to the membership of the Maryland Consortium on Coordinated School Support, Community Support. Finally, the amendment delays the date by which schools are required to collect the state alternative income measure and requires the form be available electronically and allow families to opt out. This bill is similar to House Bill 770, which we will be working on. I move the amendments.
Any discussion on the amendments? Okay, all in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion on the bill is amended.
Move favorable.
Any discussion on the bill? Okay, all in favor of the bill as amended signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Senate Bill 913 passes favorably as amended. That ends our voting session, and we are logging off and then logging back on for our hearing, so no one get out of your seats, please. Okay, we are back. It is still April 6th, and now we have a couple of bill hearings before us. First, Senate Bill 952. Is he coming over himself? Do we know that? They're on the floor? Okay, is anybody here for Senate Bill 952? Okay, passing that over. Is anybody here from Senator King's office? Oh, come on up. Yes, and this is Senate Bill, for the record, 968.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Patty Horton for Senator King. In 2007, legislation was introduced to close a loophole in our tax law that was allowing large corporations to avoid paying corporate income taxes to the tune of about $10 million each year. The bill passed, and large corporations were no longer able to shift the ownership of real property holdings to a subsidiary real estate investment trust known as a REIT, and then deduct from their state income tax the rent they paid back to themselves. Shortly after the passage of the 2007 legislation, the Multi-State Tax Commission developed model language for states trying to resolve this same issue of tax avoidance, and they updated the language to reflect current investment practices, including regulations that are imposed on foreign-owned companies. Working with the Comptroller's Office, Senate Bill 968 was developed to simply update Maryland tax law on REITs to conform with the Multi-State Tax Commission model language. This change will ensure that those companies that are properly using REITs as legitimate forms of investment are not penalized in Maryland, while those corporations using REITs for tax avoidance will still be denied under Maryland law. So on behalf of Senator King, I respectfully request a favorable report on Senate Bill 968.
Okay, are there any questions? Okay, seeing no questions, thank you very much. That concludes the testimony on Senate Bill 968. Senate Bill 952. Tom Cole, can you come up and present the bill? Do you mind? Hate to put you on the spot. Thank you. Senate Bill 952.
Yes, I apologize. I'm not dressed appropriately to address the committee, but we were hoping Senator McCray would be here. So this is to increase the funding for the historic revitalization tax credit. Tom Cole, representing Preservation Maryland, by the way. This is a program that has been fundamental to many of the conversions of commercial space to residential space in Baltimore City. I don't know if you had the opportunity to review the Baltimore Sun article about it last week, but this is a powerful tool for doing that, and it's oversubscribed. There's a waiting list for these funds. So what this would do is it would increase the appropriation for that. It has been revised from the House side down to $8 million for FY25. The studies have shown by Preservation Maryland that for every dollar that goes into this program, the state gets $8 back. So it is a powerful program for not only revitalizing places like Baltimore City, but also providing affordable housing as well. So with that, if any questions?
Thank you. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you very much. That concludes the testimony on Senate Bill 968, House Bill 1246, and you must be, wait, I have it here. Yes, Ms. Padilla. Welcome. Padilla.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
I'm really pleased to be here. This bill got stuck in rules, and I was so pleased when it made it out. And I want to tell you a little bit about it. This bill is subsequent to the passage of the Building Lifelong Library Learners Act, which happened in 2021 session. And what we're trying to do here is update a statute, 23409, that talks about what happened, what the rules are now with overdue fines for minors. It's the intent of the legislation is to prevent minors being charged overdue fines, not fees, but overdue fines, and regulate the charging of the fees that I just mentioned. So this revision more fully describes all of the issues involved, clarifies the terminology, and I think in the long run, it clarifies otherwise confusing language, ensures that all public libraries understand and follow the same requirements, and more importantly, in my mind, it provides the necessary documentation if library boards or local government try to reinstate these fines. I would appreciate your support for this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for coming on such short notice. Any questions? Delegate Plakovich-Carr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the bill. Thank you for being here. Can you just clarify for me, I'm just taking a quick look through the bill. So, like, my son is 8 years old. He has his own library account. I would assume under this bill, if there was something overdue or not returned under his account, it would be covered. What about children's or youth material that were checked out by a parent? Is that covered under this bill?
No, it is not. So if it's checked out on an adult card, then those fines and fees would still apply.
Okay, thank you.
Any, Delegate Ebersol.
Tell me how many libraries don't charge fines right now.
Oh my gosh, I thought you might ask that, and I'm racking my brains, but really.
It's a lot of them, isn't it?
Well, the result of this really catapulted libraries to stop charging fines and fees, or fines for minors, but it also encouraged many library systems to do away with fines overall.
And why are libraries not charging fines?
Because we feel it's an impediment to their using their services that are designed for them. And we ultimately have other ways of recovering the material so that it is useful to other people. So it's not a matter of trying to build up our budget through the charging of fines. This allows more access for people.
And isn't it so that there's very little evidence that it causes people to return books faster if there's a fine? The rate's approximately the same.
Well, I think the rate is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
People just may hang on to them a little longer, but ultimately they return them. So it really has been a win-win for libraries.
Thank you.
Delegate Wu.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. So thank you for being here. I have one question. I noticed, even for myself, right? Like before, in Howard County, I think we don't charge a fine or even an overcharge fee. I think that's what we have. So, but before that, I think I hold the book as long as I see the time, the deadline is coming, I will return the book. Now I will see whether my schedule fit, otherwise I'll probably hold the book for much longer than before. So you said, based on the data you have, it doesn't change the circulation time?
Well, what libraries also did right around the same time, but not necessarily because of this bill, was they decided that they would, it really had more to do with the pandemic. And they decided that instead of requiring that people come in or go online to renew their materials, they would just automatically extend renewal periods. And because really what we want is the people to have the information they need. If they need it for 4 weeks, if they need it for 12 weeks, it's all the same really in the long run to the library. If somebody else wanted that material though, and then we would put a call out for it and ask them to return it right away. So it really is something that makes life easier for our customers and for our general public.
Yeah, thank you. I got it. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That concludes the testimony on that bill. And that concludes the bill hearings for today. And we won't be back today, folks, but do pay attention on the floor for whatever time we're going to be tomorrow. Okay. Okay, so we'll hopefully have this hearing at 9 o'clock tomorrow. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you, everybody.